Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to another weekly reads video. This is week 13 and it's starting off really well. But before I get into that, I have to tell you what I managed to read last week. Now last week I managed to read two books. One was a disappointment, the other one was definitely not. And yes, the disappointed one, as you might tell if you watched last week, was The Edge of Everything by Jeff Giles. This is a very popular book on BookTube right now. Honestly, I have to say that I didn't think that I was going to buy it because the plot just didn't sound intriguing to me. But then I watched an interview with the author and he made it sound really fantastic, which is good for him. But sadly, the book didn't turn out as well for me. I honestly think that if I was just starting to get into young adult, it would be something fresh and new. But as I'm not, as I have read a lot of it, it was just really disappointing. And honestly, I found some things at the beginning of the book especially that were so unreasonable and illogical that I just couldn't go past them, and they really annoyed me. So this is the story of Zoe. She lives with her mother and brother on a mountain, and at the beginning of the story there's a snow blizzard coming and they know that it's supposed to hit in an hour, and her mother takes that hour to go do some last minute shopping and she expects to return. But she doesn't. So Zoe's left alone with her brother, and because, she doesn't want to deal with him, and, she just sort of leaves him to go outside and play with the dogs that they sort of took in after their neighbors died. So they sort of inherited those dogs. And yes, snow blizzard comes and she cannot see her brother, so she has to go outside and get him. And as she's doing that, they're being sort of attacked by Stan, this evil guy that wants to kill the dogs for reasons, and they're actually saved by X, this mysterious boy that shows up and sort of deals with Stan by using his powers. So yes, that's the beginning of the story. For me, it got a bit better towards the middle and all that. Still some illogical things that were happening, but okay. I will tell you some of the things that I found illogical. So the mother decides to go shopping at last minute. Sorry, I don't see that being as really great parenting, but okay. So the other thing is Zoe. Yes, I know she's a teenager and she doesn't want to deal with her ADHD brother, and I do understand it, but sorry, this is like a situation in which you should overlook your dislike of your brother and just deal with him because it's dangerous. It's endangering his life, and being a teenager or not, you should be rational enough to know that. That's one thing. And then Stan going to kill the dogs when there were no threat to him was another thing that I couldn't see. And if I remember correctly, one of the dogs was hit by a car and flew, which I might be wrong because, I didn't pay that much attention necessarily, and nobody even cared if the dog was okay. The dog was just fine, and it just made no sense to me. What else? Insta-love. A really bad case of insta-love. Sorry, I just couldn't take it. And there's also one thing. So their father passed away recently. He was spelunking, he was caving, and he actually fell into a cave. And the police never retrieved his body. And we are given reasons why, but I'm sorry. I'm sure that, police, there might be cases when police would not go to get the body, but this reason was not good enough. So it was not. This is not a reason that I think police would actually say, yeah, okay, we're not going to do it. So it annoyed me to no end. And as I said, the middle part does get better, and I think the story does have potential. There's a lot of mysteries from, where this X is from, and the world he, is from is called Lowlands, and there's a lot of world building possibilities there, so I do think that in the future books those are going to get explored a bit more. But I'm not going to be picking up those books, sadly. This one was just a huge disappointment, for me at least. If any of this sounds intriguing, do pick it up. I mean, I'm sure that it has a great audience out there. I'm just not right for it, sadly. So while that book was not perfect for me, this one was. Blood Song by Anthony Ryan is book 1 in his Raven Shadow trilogy, and it tells the story of Valen Arsona. We meet him as a grown man as he's being escorted to fight in these fights, which will potentially release him from the imprisonment that he was in for the last 5 years. He's escorted by a chronicler, and it is to him that he retells his story. As we go back into his past, we meet him as a 10-year-old, and he's taken by his father to the House of the Sixth Order. And the easiest way to explain it is that it's a monastery where monks are being trained into fighting monks, that's where he spends the rest of his youth, training daily to become this great warrior. And later on, it's his role, as it is the role of the whole order, to protect the faith and the realm from potential enemies. And I adore this book. It was fantastic. I love Valen. I just love the way it was written, the story. It just kept my interest throughout the book, and I really enjoyed it. If you want to know how much I enjoyed it, let me tell you the story of how I got into it. I actually have the whole trilogy on audio, as an audiobook, and I started listening to it, and I got about halfway through, and I just had to put it down because I needed it in my hands. Like, I needed a physical copy, and I waited patiently for the book to arrive. And then I reread the whole part that I already listened to until I got to the new one, and I just love this book so much. I'm not going to go too much into detail here because I did film a review, as I already mentioned, and it's going to be spoiler free, so if you find it interesting at all or intriguing, go watch that once it's up. And yes, I hope I convinced you to go pick it up. So that's what I managed to read last week, and this week I have great plans as well, because it's, you know, moving towards the end of the month, and I still haven't read a classic. I decided to pick up The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I have never read this book, and this is a Slovene version, if you're just wondering. It's called Veliki Gatsby. But yeah, I have never read it. I have watched a movie version, and I think it's with Paul Newman. I think he was in it, I'm not sure, but I think he was. And I do want to read it, and then I want to watch the one with Leonardo DiCaprio, because I just sort of feel that, you know, there's a movie, and if I read it, I should watch it sort of in a week. And it's a short one. I'm definitely going to finish it by the end of the month and, you know, check that off of my list. But once this is done, I will be moving on to, guess what? Tower Lord by Anthony Ryan, which is book 2 in his Raven Shadow trilogy, and I already started it. Just a short few pages in, basically 2 chapters, and I'm already loving it, and it's already breaking my heart. And this story, there's a bit of a difference, because while we saw Blood Song, you know, it did just revolve around Valen himself. This book sort of follows a few different characters, and some new ones that we haven't met yet, and we are exploring other parts of this world that are pissing me off. But it's very intriguing, and I'm already loving it, and I'm just gonna stop, because otherwise I'm just gonna smile and gush over it already, and you will see more about it, I think, next week. Hopefully I will get to finish it. But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see how the reading goes, right? So yeah. So those are all the books that I plan to read this week, and I'm really excited about both of them. Now, some channel updates. You can expect 2 reviews to come up this week. Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, as well as Blood Song by Anthony Ryan, naturally. You can watch those on Wednesday. I think that's when I'm going to post them. And then on Friday you can expect my London book haul, and that one is full of fantasy books that I'm really excited about. So yes, do let me know down in the comments what you are planning to read this week. And thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next one. Bye!